now, as we speak in the UK, citizens are being imprisoned for exposing horrifying crimes committed by Muslim migrants? Or didn't the bureaucrats in Brussels suspend Romania's elections simply because they didn't like the party that had won? If you're rich, you must be a cruel capitalist. If you're heterosexual, you must be heteronormative, homophobic or transphobic.
For the next 60 seconds, try to name 3 recent instances where the UK government has been accused of suppressing free speech. Struggling? You're not alone. Many of us take our democratic freedoms for granted. But Argentina's PM, Javier Milei, has just thrown down the gauntlet, accusing Starmer's government of systematically silencing dissent. His bold claims at the WEF have left many questioning what they thought they knew about UK politics. Let's unpack this challenge to our understanding of British democracy. Javier Milei, Argentina's firebrand president, is no stranger to controversy. Known for his libertarian views and scathing critiques of socialism, Milei recently set his sights on an unexpected target, the United Kingdom. At the World Economic Forum, WEF, Milei unleashed a verbal assault that left attendees stunned and sparked a global conversation about the state of democracy in the West. Milei's accusations were nothing short of explosive. He painted a picture of the UK as a nation contaminated by a socialist agenda, undermining the very foundations of democracy it claims to uphold. But it wasn't just vague criticisms. Milei came armed with specific, shocking allegations. One of his most provocative claims centered on the alleged imprisonment of UK citizens for exposing crimes committed by Muslim migrants.
Now, as we speak in the UK, citizens are being imprisoned for exposing horrifying crimes committed by Muslim migrants, dissent, criticism, and ultimately freedom, so they can continue to uphold a model in which they're the main benefit.
Milei didn't mince words, asking pointedly, is it not true that right now as we speak in the UK, citizens are being imprisoned for exposing horrifying crimes committed by Muslim migrants, crimes that the government seeks to conceal? This accusation struck at the heart of the UK's reputation for justice and transparency, suggesting a sinister undercurrent of censorship and cover-ups. The reaction from the WEF audience was telling. Reports describe a room plunged into stunned silence, with attendees shifting uncomfortably in their seats.
Or didn't the bureaucrats in Brussels suspend Romania's elections simply because they didn't like the party that had won? If you're rich, you must be a cruel capitalist. If you're heterosexual, you must be heteronormative, homophobic or transphobic.
It's not every day that a world leader accuses a supposed bastion of democracy of such blatant suppression of free speech. Interestingly, while Milei's speech set social media ablaze, becoming the most viewed address from the WEF, official summaries of the event seem to downplay its impact. The WEF's own recap barely mentioned Milei's incendiary remarks, raising questions about whether there was an attempt to minimize the fallout from his accusations. But Milei wasn't content with just lobbing accusations. He framed his critique as a dire warning, stating, "Today, I'm here to tell you that the Western world is in danger." In Milei's view, the UK's alleged suppression of dissent is symptomatic of a broader crisis facing democracies worldwide.
First by labeling us, and then by silencing us. If you're white, you must be racist. If you're a man, you must be a misogynist. Or faced with each of these discussions, wokeism's first strategy is to discredit those of us who challenge these things.
A creeping authoritarianism that seeks to silence criticism and control the narrative. The UK government's silence in the face of these accusations is deafening. As of now, there's been no official response to Milei's claims, leaving many to wonder how this will affect UK-Argentina relations. Will this spark a diplomatic incident, or will it be brushed under the rug? As Westminster scrambles for a response, Milei's critique takes an even more sinister turn. The Argentine firebrand's next target? The very pillars of British justice. His accusations strike at the heart of a system long lauded as a beacon of fairness and impartiality. But could this venerable institution be rotting from within? Milei's scathing indictment of the UK justice system paints a troubling picture. In his explosive speech, he declared, "Beneath the rhetoric of diversity, democracy and tolerance that they so often preach, what truly lies is their blatant desire to eliminate dissent, criticism, and ultimately, freedom." It's a damning accusation that has sent shockwaves through legal circles and beyond. But is there any substance to Milei's claims? Recent high-profile cases in the UK have certainly raised eyebrows. Critics argue that certain legal outcomes reflect systemic biases. calling into question the very foundations of British justice. Public trust in the courts is reportedly on the decline, with citizens expressing growing concerns over fairness and transparency in legal proceedings. Of course, not everyone is buying what Milei is selling. Legal experts and human rights organizations are divided on the issue.
Not only that, but the vast majority have also been subjected to the misguided self-perceptions of a tiny minority. Curious enough, free nations began to self-destruct when they no longer had adversaries to defeat. Authorities, and quite reddish, I should say, actually have made open appeals to censorship.
Some staunchly defend the integrity of the UK justice system, pointing to its long history and established safeguards. Others, however, acknowledge the need for reform, suggesting that Milei's criticisms, while perhaps overblown, aren't entirely without merit. So, what's really going on here? Is the UK's vaunted justice system truly a facade, concealing a darker reality that prioritizes control over fairness? Milei seems to think so. He argues that the system has become a tool for suppressing dissent and maintaining the status quo, rather than a means of delivering true justice. But let's not forget, Milei isn't exactly known for his measured approach. His fiery rhetoric and libertarian leanings often lead to provocative statements.
To reject and deny the culture, ideas and values that made us great, further damaging our social fabric. A society that replaced the free exchange of goods and services with the arbitrary distribution of wealth at gunpoint. Beliefs that institutions like this one have been promoting for 40 years. And no one here can feign innocence.
Is this just another example of Milei stirring the pot? Or has he stumbled upon a genuine crisis in British democracy? One thing's for certain, Milei's speech has reignited the debate around judicial reform in the UK. Advocates are seizing on his comments, arguing that the current system doesn't adequately protect individual rights and freedoms. They're calling for sweeping changes to restore public faith in the courts and ensure that justice is truly blind. Milei's bombshell speech at the WEF has sent shockwaves through the UK political landscape, forcing an uncomfortable reckoning with the state of British democracy. The viral spread of his remarks, amassing over 27 million views on Twitter in just a day, has thrust the UK's institutions into the global spotlight. This unprecedented scrutiny has sparked a firestorm of debate, with social media reactions revealing a nation deeply divided over Milei's scathing critique. The immediate responses from UK officials have been a mixed bag, ranging from dismissive shrugs to reluctant acknowledgements of the need for introspection. Opposition parties, sensing blood in the water, have seized upon Milei's accusations as ammunition in their ongoing battles over government accountability. As the dust settles, the world watches with bated breath to see how the UK will respond to these damning allegations. Will this be the catalyst for meaningful reforms, or will it be business as usual in the halls of Westminster?